There is a precise moment when the comfort of your reality begins to fracture. It usually happens in silence. You are walking down a crowded street, lost in a thought about someone you haven't seen in 10 years. A face flashes in your mind. A name echoes in the silence of your skull. And then, before the thought can even settle, your phone vibrates. It is them. Or perhaps you are wrestling with a question that has haunted your sleep for weeks, a question with no answer. You turn on the radio, and the very first sentence uttered by a stranger solves the riddle instantly. Consider this. Do you smile? Do you call it a miracle? Or do you feel a sudden cold shiver run down the base of your spine? That shiver is not joy, it is recognition. It is the primal part of your consciousness realizing that the walls of your world are not solid. They are screens, and for a split second, the pixelation was visible. We have been trained to call these moments synchronicity. We are taught to view them as winks from a benevolent universe, little breadcrumbs leading us toward our destiny. But what if we have been reading the signs upside down? What if synchronicity is not a gift, but a glitch? Carl Jung, the father of depth psychology, spent his life obsessed with these moments, not because they proved God existed, but because they proved that the physical world and the mental world are not separate. They are the same code running on different displays. Before we peel back the skin of this reality, if you are one of the rare few who suspect that your life is following a script you didn't write, and you are ready to see the code behind the curtain, please click subscribe. Join our order of seekers. Turn on notifications, because once you see the glitch, you can never unsee it.
Let us examine the evidence. To understand why your reality is leaking, we must return to the consulting room of Carl Jung. The year is uncertain, but the atmosphere is heavy with frustration. A woman sits before him, a woman of extreme rationality. She is a fortress of logic, impenetrable to any psychological insight. She lives in a world of cold, hard facts. She believes only in what she can touch, measure, and quantify. To her, the mind is just a biological machine, and dreams are merely waste products of the brain. Jung is at a dead end. His methods are failing because her logical armor is too thick. She is telling him a dream she had the night before, a dream in which she was given a golden scarab beetle, a piece of expensive jewelry. As she narrates this, Jung hears a gentle tapping on the window behind him. It is a rhythmic, insistent sound. He turns around. Hovering against the glass is a large insect. Jung opens the window and catches the creature as it flies in. He holds it in his hand. It is a Setonia aurata, the common rose chafer beetle, whose golden-green color is the closest resemblance to a golden scarab one can find in those latitudes. Imagine the silence in that room. Jung turns to his patient, opens his hand, and says, "Here is your scarab." At that precise moment, the woman's rational worldview collapsed. The statistical probability of a golden beetle appearing at the exact second she was describing a golden beetle is so infinitesimally small that it defies calculation. It was impossible, yet it happened. This was not a random event.
The external world had bent itself to match her internal world. Now, pause and ask yourself, how does a beetle outside the window know the content of a dream inside a human mind? How did the timing align with such terrifying precision? There are only two possibilities. Possibility one, it was blind chance, a cosmic accident of meaningless chaos. Possibility two, the beetle, the window, the dream, and the woman are not separate entities. They are all rendered objects in a single responsive field of information. Jung chose the second path. He realized that the objective world out there is not objective at all. It is subjectively entangled with the observer. The beetle did not just appear, it was summoned. This story is the crack in the dam. If your thoughts can summon a beetle, what else are they summoning? What tragedies, what failures, what loves have you unknowingly scripted into existence simply because you kept replaying the code of fear or desire in the dark theater of your mind?
Science hates synchronicity. It despises it. If you mention meaningful coincidences to a rigid materialist, they will scoff. They will invoke the law of large numbers. They will tell you that with 7 billion people on the planet, strange things are bound to happen. If you have enough monkeys typing on typewriters, eventually one will write Shakespeare. They call this confirmation bias. You only remember the hits and forget the misses. But this explanation is a shield. It is a desperate attempt to protect the mechanical model of the universe. Because if synchronicity is real, then the mechanical model is dead. Think about the structure of a video game. In a game, the environment is not real in the sense that it exists when you aren't looking at it. The world renders only where the player looks. When the player enters a new level, the enemies spawn. The game is efficient. It does not waste processing power on things that are not relevant to the observer. Jung called his theory a causal connecting principle. A-causal means it violates cause and effect. In the physical world, A must push B to move B. That is causality. But in synchronicity, A, your thought, and B, the event, happen simultaneously without touching each other. They are connected by meaning, not by physics. This is the smoking gun of a simulation. In a computer program, two distant variables can change instantly at the same time, not because they touched, but because the central processor updated the state of the entire system. Synchronicity is the lag in the server. It is the moment you realize that the physical distance between you and that random event is an illusion. There is no distance in consciousness. Consider the implications. If the universe is organizing itself around your internal state, then you are not a tiny, insignificant speck of dust floating in a hostile void. You are the cursor. You are the focal point where the data stream collapses into experience. But this lies the danger. Most people, when they first experience this awakening, fall into a trap even deadlier than materialism. They begin to think the universe is speaking to them. They think they are special. They think the repetitive numbers 1111, 222, 333 are messages from angels or spirit guides telling them they are on the right path. They are not. Now, let us strip away the romanticism. We must look at the mechanism with cold eyes.
Why does the repetition of numbers like 1111 or 333 feel so intoxicating? Why does your heart race when you see them? Because the ego loves to feel chosen. The ego is terrified of insignificance. It craves a narrative where it is the protagonist, the hero of a cosmic story. The Matrix knows this. Think of your modern internet experience. When you whisper a desire near your phone or search for a specific pair of shoes, what happens? Suddenly, those shoes appear on every website you visit. They follow you on social media. They haunt your sidebar. Do you call this a miracle? Do you call this a sign from the god of footwear? No. You call it an algorithm. You call it cookies. The system tracked your attention and fed you a reflection of your own search history to keep you engaged. Now imagine. Consider the possibility that physical reality operates on the exact same code. Your reticular activating system, the filter in your brain, is the ultimate browser cookie. When you obsess over spiritual awakening, when you desperately search for meaning, the simulation adapts. It renders the numbers you want to see. It generates the coincidences that keep you clicking, keep you watching, keep you searching for external validation. This is the trap. As long as you are chasing signs, you are merely a consumer of the simulation. You are like a rat in a maze, pressing a lever to get a pellet of dopamine. Look, a feather. Look, a number. You are distracted. You are looking at the finger pointing to the moon, and you are missing the moon entirely. The system gives you these little glitches not to wake you up, but to keep you asleep in the dream of being special. You are trading your sovereignty for a breadcrumb. If this silence is uncomfortable, if you feel the scaffolding of your beliefs shaking, good. That means the programming is breaking down. We are decoding the source code of reality itself to ensure you do not miss the final key to exiting this loop. Make sure you are subscribed. Do not let the algorithm hide this knowledge from you again.
Here lies the terrifying paradox. If the universe is a simulation, who is the programmer? Who is the architect sitting at the console, typing the code that drops a beetle into Jung's window? We want to believe it is a higher power. We want to believe it is a guide, an angel, or a benevolent alien intelligence. Because if they are in control, we are safe. We are just children being watched over. But the dark night of the soul reveals a much heavier truth. The call is coming from inside the house. The programmer is you. Not the you that has a name, a job, and a social security number. That is just your avatar. That is the little character on the screen. I am speaking of the you that exists behind your eyes, the silent, formless observer, the deep self, the unconscious. Carl Jung discovered that the unconscious mind is not just a storage room for repressed memories. It is a creative engine. It is a reality projector. When your inner world is in chaos, your outer world becomes chaotic. When you are unconsciously gripped by fear, the simulation renders monsters. When you achieve a moment of intense psychic tension, like Jung's patient breaking through her resistance, the simulation cracks and the internal symbol, the beetle, physically manifests in the external world.
This is why you must stop waiting for the universe to deliver. The universe is waiting for you. It is a mirror, vast and indifferent. It has no agenda other than to reflect exactly what you are broadcasting. If you broadcast neediness, it reflects lack. If you broadcast fear, it reflects danger. And if you broadcast a powerful, unified intention, it bends the laws of probability to make the impossible happen. You are not a victim of the matrix. You are the battery powering it. And more importantly, you are the one holding the remote control, gripping it so tightly that your hand has gone numb, forgetting that you can change the channel whenever you decide to stop watching the horror movie you created. So, how do we break the loop? How do we move from being a superstitious reader of signs to a conscious writer of reality? The first step is the hardest. You must kill the part of you that wants to be saved. Abandon the hope that a number sequence is going to pay your rent. Abandon the fantasy that a twin flame coincidence is going to fix your loneliness. These are distractions. The path to mastery requires you to withdraw your projection from the screen and return it to the projector. Jung called this individuation, the process of integrating the unconscious. When you make the darkness conscious, it no longer manifests as fate or accidents. It becomes a tool. Start observing your glitches with scientific detachment. When a coincidence happens, do not ask, "What is the universe telling me?" Ask instead, "What part of my psyche is this event reflecting?" Is it showing you your fear, your hidden desire, your unhealed trauma? For example, if you constantly see signs of abandonment, people leaving, plans canceling, the simulation is showing you your own internal belief that you are unworthy of love. The sign is not a prophecy. It is a diagnosis. It is the check engine light of your soul. To rewrite the code, you must change the signal. You must use what the mystics called active imagination. This is not daydreaming. This is the act of entering the command console of your mind and visualizing a new state of being with such emotional intensity that the simulation must reorganize itself to match it. You do not ask a mirror to smile first. You smile, and the mirror has no choice but to reflect it back. This is the brutal physics of the holographic universe. To practice active imagination as Jung intended, you must sit in the silence of your own void. You must close your eyes and strip away the sensory input of the physical world. In that darkness, you do not just think about what you want. Thinking is weak. It is electric. It is just surface noise. You must feel. Feeling is magnetic. Feeling is the gravitational force that bends the grid. Picture the reality you desire, not as a distant fantasy, but as a memory that hasn't happened yet. Construct it with the precision of an architect. Smell the air in that new life. Feel the texture of the clothes you would wear. Hear the specific tone of your voice as you speak in that reality. You are building a vibrational scaffolding. When you do this with sufficient intensity, you create a potential in the quantum field. You are hacking the probability curve. You are telling the matrix, this is the new baseline. Adjust accordingly. And this is the hardest part. Once you have planted the seed in the dark, you must open your eyes and let it go. You must detach. If you obsess over when it will happen, you are broadcasting doubt. You are telling the system, I don't have this yet. and the system will faithfully reflect your lack back to you. You must walk through your day with the quiet arrogance of someone who already owns the future. You do not look for signs to confirm you are on the right path. You are the path. When you embody this state, the synchronicities will shift. They will no longer be random glitches or confusing numbers. They will become a steady stream of coincidences that seamlessly bridge the gap between where you are and where you commanded the simulation to take you.
Now, consider this final, terrifying truth. We have spent this time dissecting the glitch. We have analyzed the beetle, the numbers, and the code. But there is one last veil to lift. The ultimate synchronicity is not between a thought and an event. It is between the dreamer and the dream. Carl Jung did not just teach us how to analyze the mind. He taught us that the mind is the only thing that exists. The separation between you inside your skin and the world outside your skin is the greatest illusion of the simulation. It is a persistent trick of the light. When you truly wake up, you realize that the scarab beetle was not an external object. The window was not a barrier. The patient was not separate from Jung. They were all ripples in the same ocean of consciousness. The glitch you see in the matrix is you. You are the disruption in the static. You are the anomaly that the system cannot calculate. The universe is not guiding you. The universe is you, pushing against its own limitations, trying to remember what it feels like to be limitless. So, the next time the world winks at you, the next time a song on the radio answers your secret prayer, or a stranger speaks the name of your childhood fear, do not look up at the sky and ask, "What does this mean?" Look inward. Look into the abyss of your own being and say, "I hear you." The script is finished. The actors are freezing on the stage. The director's chair is empty. It is time for you to sit down. Take a breath. Feel the weight of your body in this chair. You are the operator. The code is waiting. What will you write next?